Welcome back to another episode of Rob Sports. And as you can see by the title and by the thumbnail, today I'm going to be breaking down some film on sophomore running back Dalen Powell for Ruston High. So I had a chance to check him out last year as a freshman. And I think I might have watched 2 games from him as a freshman. I know one game I watched from him as a freshman. Man, that dude's out there making plays. And I was like, man, this kid probably got a bright future if he can kind of stay on that same trajectory based off of what I've seen. And he's kind of just picking up pretty much where he left off from his freshman year, man. He had an incredible game against Acadiana. Now, the thing that I didn't know and I seen when I went out there to their scrimmage against Bird, he's much bigger than what I thought. You know, obviously as a freshman, he was a little bit more skinnier, but now it's like he kind of filled out. I mean, he has incredible size on him, man. Like he's about 6'1", 185, maybe 190 pounds. Good big running back that's designed to be able to run in between the tackles, but then also has the ability to be able to run away from defenses as well. So, you know, he's a two-way back, and, you know, I'm big on that too. I think he has background of playing receiver, if I'm not mistaken. So I always like versatility. So he's a guy that, you know, you can use in the run game, and it's a guy that you can use in the pass game if they draw up the plays for him. So this very first play, they come out in the traditional Ruston formation, which is I formation, which is a power running formation. You see you got him dotting the I. And also, too, the fullback does a phenomenal job. I mean, even if you're looking at the blocking right here, you know, the left tackle kind of misses that guy, and he gets the immediate threat, and then he allows for the fullback to come and pick him up, which gives him that gap. And obviously, man, when he's seen that gap, he's seen daylight. He just pretty much hit that thing with no hesitation and was able to run. I think that might have been like a 70-some yard touchdown run. Now, one of the things that I do like about him, too, and I noticed this, and I'm going to talk to it in a couple other clips, is I like how he keeps the ball high and tight, right? He kind of overemphasizes keeping that thing high and tight. A very important aspect of being a running back is ball security, right? Whenever you have the ball in your hands at the beginning of the play, you want to keep that ball in your hands at the end of the play. So ball security, like Coach Belichick always say, ball security is job security. So I always love that. And then I also noticed that he makes sure that he has that football towards the sideline. So if you look at a lot of his plays, even if it's something that's going up the middle, whenever he does bounce it outside, he always switches the ball from whatever hand it's in to put it towards the sideline. So that's something that I like. And like I say, man, you know, you want to make sure that as a running back that you're holding on to that football and you're not hurting your team in terms of fumbles lost. All right, so if you watch my NFL film studies, man, you always hear me using the term gotta have it situations. And those are typically third down situations and fourth down situations. But I also say whenever you get to the red zone, every down is a gotta have it down, whether it's first down, second down, third down, fourth down. It's hard enough at times to get down to the red zone. So when you get down to the red zone, you want to make sure that you're coming up with points. And the easiest way to score in the red zone is by simply just running the ball in. So if you have a consistent run game, and especially mobile quarterbacks, just like Ruston's quarterback, they're very dangerous down there because they have the possibility to either run it in from design QB runs, which will give you an extra blocker, which is typically the running back or the fullback, or if it's a pass play and they don't contain outside and he just is able to step up and run it in for a touchdown. So right here, they just pretty much run a read option. Now, once again, man, this was phenomenal blocking, man. Like I say, man, when you look at that big plays being made in the run game, a lot of times, you know, a lot of focus kind of just solely goes on the running back, but then a lot of times you kind of overlook the blocking and things like that. And this right here was just another good blocking, in terms of the offensive line and the tight ends. You see that they got the 4-star tight end Ahmad. He's lined up on the edge, and he does a good job at just really sealing off that edge and allowing for his running back to have a straight line run to the touchdown. You look at the guy who came off of the edge, he took the quarterback, obviously, right? And that's how you play the read options. You want to have a guy that takes the quarterback, and then you want to have a guy that takes the running back, because if 2 guys take the quarterback, and he's just going to hand it off to the running back for a touchdown. And if you got 2 guys take the running back, the quarterback is going to keep it and then run it possibly for a touchdown or for a big gain. So right here, he does a good job at reading that. The corner from the outside comes in on the quarterback. He just hands it off, and man, he just pretty much has a straight line shot to the end zone. You had the guy who tried to be able to stop him, like that might have been another safety or maybe even a linebacker, or it could have been a nickel corner, but he was just kind of out leveraged. He was just able to avoid him right here. Just avoid him. He took a bad angle, and man, it was a walk-in touchdown. So if you watch my videos consistently, And if you've seen any of my videos where I was breaking down film on Saquon Barkley, I always talk about how I think that Saquon Barkley is the most complete running back, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because Saquon Barkley can run in between the numbers, he can run outside the numbers. Saquon Barkley can contribute to the passing game, not just from checkdowns and screens, but he can actually line up in the slot or line up on the outside and actually run routes. But one of my most valued aspects of his game that I have is his ability to contribute to pass protection, right? Being able to pick up blitzers, being able to give his quarterback just a little bit more time to get those passes off. That's one of the things that I love a lot about him. And obviously right here, this is another play that stood out to me. You know, obviously we look at the touchdown runs and things like that, but these are the plays that, you know, build out, that carve out long careers, just having an understanding, a deeper understanding of the game. You know, being a guy that can be a 3-down back, being a guy that you can have on the field, first down, second down, third down, and fourth down if we find ourselves in that situation. So right here, they line up in the I formation. They run a play action pass. And he just does a good job at, you know, kind of just having his eyes on at the line and just seeing who's the most immediate threat to get to the quarterback. So you see that the tight end has the guy on the outside, right? So now he look at those two guys who releasing, and he just tries to, obviously it's two of them that's kind of releasing freely. So he kind of just, you know, tries to do the best that he can with blocking them. He kind of just gets in both of their way just temporarily to allow his quarterback to have enough time to be able to get that pass off. So this right here is another one of those hard nosed in between the number type runs. See, I love having a guy, like I always say, that's versatile, a guy who can do multiple things. You know, you don't want to be one dimensional. And what that does, for one, it makes it harder on the defense to try to game plan for you, because we don't really know what you're going to do. Now, if we know that you're only in between the tackles runner, then we can strategically do things to try to take that away from you, and make you play a game that you're not comfortable or familiar with playing. So I love a guy who can, you know, do both. And he's obviously one of those guys. You know, he can run it on the outside and he can run it on the inside. So right here, they just run a pistol formation. You see him kind of lined up offset to the quarterback. Then you got the fullback kind of just leading at the point of attack. He just does a good job at kind of sealing off the edge. And then the running back just does a good job at just kind of, you know, getting low and getting skinny and fitting through those little creases. And one of the things I always love too is a guy who's not afraid to bite down on that mouthpiece, lower his pad level, and try to run through guys for those extra tough yards. And obviously, you know, one of the things, once again, like I said, when we're talking about a running back, is ball security. So you want to make sure that at the beginning of the play, you got the ball in your hands, and at the end of the play, you got the ball in your hands. So one way as a running back or any ball carrier, honestly, to be able to secure the ball is lowering your pad level upon contact. So when you lower your shoulder, and now it's much harder for those defenders to try to be able to punch the ball out or to try to rip the ball out now, because you got the shoulder pads that's kind of shielding them, opposed to you just being upright and just giving them so many different access points to being able to punch that ball out or rip that ball out. So right here, you got them lined up in the shotgun again. You got another read option play where the quarterback kind of is just reading the defense to see exactly what they do. And based off of that, that's going to decide what he's going to do, whether he's going to hand it off or whether he's going to keep it himself. And Acadiana, honestly, man, in a lot of ways, they kind of just looked a little undisciplined or kind of just not really there mentally in a lot of ways. I mean, because you got the guy that came on the outside. He didn't really, it's like almost like he was just a free runner. He never really declared whether he was taking a running back or whether he was taking a quarterback. It just looked like he was surprised that he even got back in the backfield, and he just really didn't know what to do with it. But then when you look on the outside, the outside lineman just does a good job at setting the edge on the guy that was coming from, I think that was the left side of it. Let's take another look at that again. Yeah, so they end up pulling an offensive lineman, actually. And that's what allowed for the other guy to run free, because they pulled that offensive lineman. So when they pulled him to get him out front at the point of attack, he was just a free runner. So that might not even been a read option play. That might have just been just a simple little inside handoff to where they just pulled the lineman to get him at the point of attack. And he just does a good job at sealing off the edge. And then after that, Dalen Powell just does the rest, which is being able to separate away from the defense. And another thing that I look at whenever I'm looking at running backs too is what can you do on your own? So once your offensive line do what they're supposed to do initially to get you to that second level, what can you do on your own? Do you have the ability to make guys miss in space? Do you have the ability to be able to separate away from a defense? And you see right here, he has the ability to separate away from a defense. But once again, notice what I was talking about in terms of him in the ball control. So for one, he got the ball high and tight. And what that does too, especially in these situations when you're out front, is you have it much more secure that way guys can't even come from behind you and try to either come over the top and knock it out or try to come over underneath and knock it out. So keeping that thing high and tight like that, once again, it prevents opportunities from the defense being able to pull the ball out. And then you look at where initially he had the ball in his right arm, and then once he got start committing and going over to the left side, he swapped it over to the left side. You know what I mean? So what does that do? That when you swap it over to the sideline, the guys are pursuing from the right side. So if you keep it on the right side now, there's opportunities that they have to just be able to come up and just try to punch the ball out. So just swapping it over and putting it towards the sideline, and then let's just say, for instance, if they are able to get it out, the possibility of it going out of bounds and not staying inbounds is so much greater. But like I said, once again, man, he just showcases his afterburners with just being able to separate away from the defense for another explosive touchdown. So this was the last and final play. And keep in mind, all of this that we've seen him do, this all took place in one half, the first half. And this was just pure dominance, man. This was a perfect example of what you would call a man amongst boys, man. This was almost like watching him do what he did against Acadiana, who's a physical football team. It was almost the equivalent to you playing Madden or NCAA and you going and go get a guy and you putting all his stats up as high as they can go and you playing on rookie. And it's just that easy. That's exactly what it looked like this game. So right here, he has a kickoff. So like I say, once again, being versatile, what all can you do? So they have him on kick return right here. And he took this kick return the distance for a touchdown. But once again, it goes back to what I was saying too with the ball control. Like, just notice that how he always switches the ball. For one, he keeps that thing high and tight, and as soon as he goes to the opposite side, so say for instance right here, he started working left, guess what, now he swaps that ball over to the other hand, right? So that's a good trait to have as a running back, man. To always keep that ball towards the sideline. And he just does a good job too, man, just really being a maze runner. And what I mean by that is kind of just allowing his blocks to set up, reading things, and to be a great ball carrier. It's almost like you have to be like when we talk about pool or billiards, they talk about how good pool shooters know their next shot. Great pool shooters know their next 3 or 4 shots. And to be an elite level running back, you have to have that elite level ball vision to be able to, just see those things as they develop, or kind of see them a little bit before they develop, understanding leverage, understanding angles, and understanding how to utilize your blockers, even if they're not in the right position, just using those guys to be potential roadblocks for defenders, taking the possibility of them bringing you down out the equation. And he just does a good job at, man. He has phenomenal contact balance as well. You just see him just kind of being able to run through a few arm tackles. Take a look at it right here. That's how many tackles. That's about 1 arm tackle he was able to run through. Right here, he was supposed to be stopped. He was able to run through that. That guy fell. Then, like I say, he bounced it to the other angle. Then you got this guy right here. He just stiff arms him to the ground, swaps the ball over. Then he finna kind of just, bully ball the next guy right here. Guy had an angle. He just pushes him towards the sideline. And after that, man, it just was a walk-in touchdown, man. So, man, this was a very, very dominant performance, very electric, very explosive performance for the sophomore in his first start in the regular season. And it just, like I say, man, once again, he just looked like a man amongst boys. So I'm interested to see his development over the course of the year. If this young man can stay on this track and just stay focused, keep getting better day in and day out, man, he has a very bright future ahead of him, man. But if you guys did enjoy this video, do me a big favor, man. Smash that thumbs up button. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. When you subscribe, make sure that you got that notification bell turned on. That way you be notified every time I upload, and I'll see y'all in the next video.